afternoon, fourth graders. This is Miss Levitt, another fourth grade teacher. I know that you've been watching these YouTube videos, and here's another one on rounding. We've been talking about place value lately in the last few weeks, and the next step in place value to talk about is rounding. And rounding can be kind of tricky, so pay close attention, and if you have questions, just stop and rewind the video and kind of try to watch it again. And if you still have questions, email your teacher. I'm sure that they can clear some your confusion up for you, okay? So the first thing we're talking about is rounding large numbers. Remember in the last video I said we go up to millions. So we want to make sure that we're able to round that far. It's basically like rounding in hundreds and tens. It's just a little bit more numbers to work with. So when do we round multi-digit numbers in the real world? When is it important to be able to round those? So you don't always need to know exact numbers. If I go to the store and say I need 10 peaches, I need to get 10 peaches, okay? But if I go to the store and I say I need about 50 screws, I can get about 50. I can grab a handful and say, is that like 50? I don't know. That's kind of a place. But you kind of have to figure out when. We'll talk about kind of when you need to round and when you don't. In this lesson, we're going to round multi-digit numbers, use the place value chart to help us round numbers, and connect rounding and multi-digit numbers to real world problems. Try to say that real fast. Okay, let's get started. Real world rounding. Let's visit a place where you might need to know how to read and round multi-digit numbers. On the next slide, you'll be standing inside a grocery store called Cermak Fresh Market. As you explore the store, try to think about why someone might need to round numbers when in this place. So this is a picture of a grocery store aisle. And if you enter virtual, I'm not going to enter it, I'm just going to show you, see how it moves, the picture moves. So here we have a bunch of bread. I think about it, when your mom goes to buy groceries, or when your grandma or your dad goes to buy groceries, and they go to get bread at the store for you to make sandwiches and stuff like that, do you need to know the exact price? Is that when you need to know the exact price, or do you need to round? All right, if you said you need to know the exact price, this will be a time when you need to know the exact price. Now, if your dad's calling your mom at the store and saying, hey, there's some bread that's 99 cents, it's about $2, which one should I get? Well, obviously, you want to get the 99-cent bread if it's the same, kind of stuff, okay? And then you look over here, and you have all kinds of produce and stuff like that. So in most of these places in the grocery store, you're probably going to want to use a exact number, maybe not so much a rounding number, but we'll talk about other places where you will use a rounding number. Okay, in this lesson today, we're going to learn how to round multi-digit numbers, and it will help us review place value and grow in our understanding of comparing numbers, which I think y'all did last week. Okay, place value. We're going to remind ourselves what place value is. It's the value of digits based on the position in a number. And then what is rounding? Rounding is kind of important. Rounding is making a number simpler while still keeping its value close to what it originally was. The result is less accurate, but it's easier to calculate quickly. So if we're trying to round 42, or round it to the nearest 10, then we would round it to 40. And we'll talk about why we did that. Sometimes 40 is much easier to add than 42 when you're having to add other numbers to it. So it's a whole lot easier to add a 0 than it is to add a 2. Okay, let's try some. Okay. Rounding means to make a number simpler while keeping its value close to what it originally was. And like we said before, the result is less accurate, but it's much quicker to work with. You can round a number to a specific place value. Rounding to the nearest 10 means rounding the number to the nearest multiple of 10. Multiples of 10 are, you know this, you're a fourth grader, count with me. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. All of those are 10s, and that's what you want to round to. So your number when you round is going to end, the last digit is going to be a 0 when you're done rounding. Rounding to the nearest 100 means rounding the number to the nearest multiple of 100. Multiples of 100 are 100, 200, 300, 400, and so on and so on. You know how to count by hundreds. You can round a number to any place on the place value chart. It doesn't matter, it's whatever the directions tell you or whatever it is, it's easier to work with for you. When rounding a number, look at the number to the right of the place value, and I'm going to show you a trick in a minute. If the number is 5 or higher, round up. If the number is 4 or lower, round down. If it's 5 or higher, it's closer to that next 10 or 100. If it's 4 or lower, it's closer to the previous 10 or 100, depending on what number you're rounding to. So if it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, you round. They say round down. Round down doesn't mean change that number lower. You keep it the same. Round up means you do take it to the next number. 5, 7, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Oh, sorry. So here's a simple rhyme. 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. I bet you heard that. I know that when I teach fourth graders in person, they usually have that rhyme in their head already. They were taught that in 3rd grade or 2nd grade or whatever grade it is you start rounding. Tips for rounding: circle the place value. Here we go. Circle the place value, underline the number to the right, and then use the rules for rounding the number. So this is the number. Okay. So look closely at these examples. So if you're rounding to 7 to the hundredths place, you underline the number to the right, and that number is more than 5. So you're gonna that is closer to 900 than 800. So you're gonna round to 900. This is 15,753. So if this number right here, the number you're rounding to is the nearest 100, circle the hundreds, but look the number to the right, and that's a 5. That number is closer. That makes 753 closer to 800, so you would round it 15,800. 99,961. Circle the 9. Remember, you're rounding to the nearest 100. Circle the 9. Underline the number to the left, to the right, sorry. And then 961 is closer to 100,000 than it is to 900. 3,350, all of these are rounded up. 3,350, circle the number in the hundreds place, underline the number to the right, and that number tells you that that 3 is going to round up. It should round up. I don't know why right here it's not rounded up. This should be 3,400, not 3,500. Or 3,300. And then 450, the same thing. Circle the 4, underline the 5, and that rounds to 500. If you want to look at this way, I'm going to show you another trick. Hold on, my number's off. Okay. So if I'm rounding to the nearest 100, I'm going to draw a box here. All of these numbers are going to be 0 no matter what. Okay? All the numbers to the right of the box that you're trying to round are going to be 0 when you're done. But this number right here tells this 6 what to do. Okay, so it tells it, hey, it's below 4. I mean, it's from 0 to 4. So I know this is going to stay the same. So now when I round this number, all of the numbers in front of that stay the same. Those all stay the same. And that becomes 0. So remember, I turned those into 0. Okay. What I want you to do is I want you for your classwork or for your work to do after this, I want you to create a mini poster of rules for rounding. If you need to look back in this video and go back to previous slides to help you find rules for rounding, feel free to rewind the video and go back and pause it and help you come up. But I want you to come up with a mini poster of how to round, and then I want you to email that mini poster. Take a picture of it and email it to your teacher. Okay? Y'all did a great job today. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye.